just like today. Clear blue skies and everything changed. Just another Tuesday. Take the train to work, stare at your shoes, read the morning news one last time. The candles down at Bellevue, let the water press for the hopeful few. Then we carve the names in bronze. 3,000 gone. Wind blows the ashes over New York, and it's burned a hole in my heart. Put the faces to the names. Things will never be the same. Things will never be the same. Wind blows the ashes over New York, and it's burned a hole in my heart. Put the faces to the names. Things will never be the same. Wind blows the ashes over New York, and it's ripped a hole in my heart. Put the faces to the names. Things will never be the same.
That's Brother Leeds. That is Ashes Over New York. That's their latest single on a Waterfall release that we're working on here. That is one of the many things that we're doing here at Any Tunes Records. We're always busy doing stuff. And I something happened with the audio there. I'm not even sure if it played in stereo or it played in mono. So we may have to do a replay on the video. I'll give it a listen back after the show because I was hearing something in the audio that flickered. And I'm not sure if we went back to mono. I have to switch over to mono. Can you guys hear me pretty good back there right now? Yeah. So that's the difference on this software that I use. It's actually browser-based Where. And the problem with it is that you have to switch things over between running a stereo input when you're playing a musical track versus when you're doing your voice, and you have to switch the stereo audio input off and then turn everything else on. That switches you back to mono. So a little bit about sound mixing here. 101. I'm just going to remove that that source from there. We don't need to watch that video again right now, but I may play it at the end. Maybe I'll play it at the end of the show. That might be a good way to do it and end the show on the video. You guys are back in the green room right now. We got Steve Sinclair and we've got Brad Coward, a couple of guys from Brother Leeds. They're from London, Ontario, Canada. We got them on the show tonight as guest hosts, and because we're going to talk about success, what is happening to them this year, because 2025 is shaping up to be a good year for these guys. They finished out strong in 2024 by opening for 5440 at the London Music Hall. It was well-attended event. It was a great punch in the arm for these guys, and I've seen the results of that. So that's really, really great. Good on them for doing that. I think Brad cooked that up. But we'll talk about that and more as we get everybody on here. First of all, Steve Sinclair, he's got a solo thing going on as well. There he is. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Good. How's it going, everybody?
Behind all your many guitars. I think those are just empty guitar cases just to impress us, aren't they?
Not even. It's just a painting. It makes it look like cases. Hollywood. It's all Hollywood.
We'll see if Brad's got a better opening than you. Hey, Brad, how you doing?
How's it going? I can't get that. I can't top that. I do have an old bass drum head right here, though.
Oh, so, hey, your camera's backwards. It says it's backwards to Brother Leeds. You might have to switch your camera orientation. Okay. But anyway, yeah, because your shirt's backwards.
I'm always backwards.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's all good. If you were in Australia, you'd be forward, so you're good.
That's right.
Right? All right. Yep. So I'm good. You're good. We're all good. We're going to put you in the bottom of the room tonight.
Sure. That's right. That's where I should be.
We can play. We can always switch things around like this.
Look at this.
You know. I don't mind being on the bottom.
And we can do the Brady Bunch. I don't mind being on the bottom. Wow, you better be careful what you say, my friend.
Yes.
Dog pile.
Yeah. This guy with the worst view in rock and roll.
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve. It's hard to say.
What'd you guys think of the video visuals?
I liked it. Thanks. It was good, Ken.
Yeah. That was good. Thank you. It was nice. Actually, I've been to the 9/11 memorial. So
I put that video together in under an hour.
Well done.
Nice.
I just grabbed all these random clips, and then I listened to the song through a couple of times. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, and then I just kept moving them around on the storyboard.
Came out well, yeah. Well, it reminded me of when we were writing it. Yeah. We're consciously kind of cognizant of the fact that how do you write a song with that subject matter without mentioning buildings or a plane? It was kind of tricky to dance around it, but I think it came out okay. Yeah, well, I mean, and the thing is, you look at that, and the feeling that where it emerged from. Yeah.
Right. From great tragedy sometimes comes some very unique treasures.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. We were playing a show that actually was right on 9/11, and the idea kind of came to us about a month ahead of time. But maybe we should try and work something together for that. And I think, Brad, if I remember, it came together pretty quickly.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
That song should be played at the City of New York for 9/11. It should be played in every place possible within the City of New York. It could be blasted all over the place. I wonder if we could try and get this to Howard Stern.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to you, Ken.
What's that?
I'll leave that to you. He's blocked.
Well, I always like to think big, right? I mean, if you don't think big,
No, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, I never dreamed that I would run hospitals in my nursing career, and I did. Right?
Yeah.
But because I always wanted more, I always felt I was capable of doing more. I felt I was capable of offering the profession more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they'd love to play it, I'd love for them to play it.
Yeah.
I would love to. I would love to get it played. Maybe we can see if we can find a contact to get us to a radio station in New York City.
Yeah,
And we find a radio programmer in New York City and send them the track.
Okay, we're 11 minutes in. You've got homework for us already.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking, and this is a success. This song, to me, could become the 911 anthem.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, if it helps, if it helps the way someone feels about it, all the better, right?
Well, it's an expression of feeling, and I hate to put you on the spot. How good at recalling your own lyrics?
Pretty good.
So what do you?
Unless I'm on stage, and then not so good.
Right. So name me part of the lyric in the song where you feel it speaks to that event and the effects that it had on you as an individual.
Well, the line that always gets me every time is take the train to work and stare at your shoes, read the morning news one last time. It's just an everyday, just a day like every other day you've ever had, and nothing special about it. Just a Tuesday, and you have no idea that it's going to be the last time you'll ever read a paper.
And I don't apply that. I don't apply that to just any event. We've all been victims of various traumas in our lives, right? The passing of a loved one is a traumatic event, right?
Absolutely.
When someone that we care about passes away, it leaves an indelible mark on us.
The lasting, absolutely does.
Yeah, it's true.
And sometimes that mark is a little bit different depending on how close you were to that individual.
I would think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
like
sure.
that. Yeah. And that day left a mark on me. We were talking before. I didn't know anyone there. I had no personal connection to it, but you couldn't help but be floored by it.
The day that happened, I was a nursing administrator in a long-term care facility in Owen Sound, and I was standing in the front lobby when I saw the second plane fly into the second tower.
Wow. Yeah.
So when I came down there, the first hit was on the first tower, and then the second hit on the second tower, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm watching it all smolder and I'm watching it all burn, and I'm like, oh, there's something really serious going on to those buildings structurally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's too much smoke and too much heat.
Well, and it's been almost 25 years, and I could look, most people I can remember like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible. I mean, there were a lot of people affected by it who, first responders and all those people that were affected by the event. And then, those of us that just were what I call vicarious trauma victims.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're watching that trauma, we're watching that unfold in front of us, but we're distant from it.
Yeah. And I remember watching it, and it's like when they were in flames, and you're thinking, this is terrible. How could it ever get any worse? And an hour later, it got much worse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching it unfold on TV, and thinking there's people down there experiencing this real time. If my feeling about this is this intense, I can't imagine how those people are feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're watching it up here on a TV screen, and it's horrific enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever and I think the thing was that, by that time, our technology had grown so fast during that time period, right? That we could get everything out quick. When something happened, something traumatic happened, it hit everybody all at once. Right?
Well,
Not like in the analog days.
No,
right.
Well, they were showing those planes live, right? I mean, that was live footage.
Yeah, I mean, they got a news crew out there in a helicopter filming this from all different angles. They probably got 3 copters in the air, filming this from all different angles. I mean, holy crap!
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it
What
was weird.
what an event. And like I said, the song, listening to the lyrics in the song can speak to anything, because you never know when that Tuesday is going to come,
No,
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
right?
And
I
that's
mean,
the thing, like Steve had said, there was nothing descript as saying, talking about the Twin Towers, talking about an airplane.
right.
There's nothing stating that. It's just,
Well, and you listen to the lyrics, there's an elephant in the room.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You
Yeah,
know,
definitely. Yeah.
I mean, when you talked about, there's a lyric in there where it talks about their names are etched in stones,
In
Yeah.
bronze, yeah.
And
in
bronze.
bronze, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, so I'm looking at it going, so when you say that lyric,
Yeah.
did you see the pan in on the bronze?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
With
And
the name?
when I wrote it, it was stone, and then I actually called them at the memorial, and I did a little fact checking. They said no, it's bronze, and it's so a few little corrections to make it,
Well, you could, in your good old Canadian slang singing,
no one knows anything about half the time.
Somebody would have to, like, well, it's kind of one of those ones where you could mistake the lyric for stones
Yeah.
or bronze.
Yeah. Either
Right?
way,
If you got bad hearing, it might come out stones. Right?
That's me.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm talking to older people, and now I understand this now that I'm older and have some hearing loss, right? And people would, I would introduce myself to older people, and I'd say, my name's Ken, and they'd say, oh, hi, Ed.
Yeah.
What's that, Sonny?
And then I'd say, no, it's Ken. And they're like, oh, Ed. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm Ed.
Yeah.
Answer anything.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, I mean, what a great song.
Thank you.
What a great tribute. I mean, it's a tribute to, those who were lost, to those who suffered as a result. And probably the writing of that song, to me, is your own lament
Yeah, absolutely.
about the event.
And it's like you say, you're on the way up here. You're on the outside of the fishbowl looking in. You wonder how, like, still to this day, how many people does it affect down in New York?
Here's an interesting question I'm going to ask Brad. Okay, so we're talking, how Steve has things in first person because he's the principal writer of the song, but you're interpreting the song. Okay, so how does that feel for you?
Well, the lyrics, first of all, I'm a big listener and component of lyrics. So when we play, for example, would be when we play live, I want to hear Steve's lyrics. I know most of them. I think at this point, maybe other than, some brand new songs that we've been working on. But the interpretation is actually, for that song, to be honest, Ken, came pretty simple. Like my interpretation, if I wanted to keep it simple,
right?
It didn't need to have anything. Not that any of my playing is anything sort of fancy or really difficult, but it just made sense to make it a simple song. For me at the end, was to have sort of that military style snare drum.
God, he's so modest, isn't he?
Always.
Is he always this modest?
Always.
Dude, you're supposed to say, I'm the guy that holds the shit together. I'm the timekeeper. I'm the guy. If the band becomes a train wreck, it's because of me, because I'm going to do my best to stop it from being one.
Well, my dad always said, it's better to be humble than to be, I don't know. What's the
better
word
to be humble than be humble pie.
Yeah. So, you know what? I think it's a brilliant song. When Steve, when we talked about writing something for that show, and then Steve presented Ashes to us, I was blown away. I'm blown away by
Ron's messaging me. So
pretty
what's he
much all of
saying?
Steve's.
Sorry guys, I got doing stuff, lost track of time. Is it too late to join? Fuck no.
Yep, you missed the boat, Ron. You're out.
You're out. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no.
I just put fuck no back to him in the chat. He's messaging me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Keeps coming up. Ron Van Boheemen is messaging you. What the
Yeah.
fuck? Here I go, and there
Yeah.
it is.
There's
Yeah,
not a
no.
lot of Easter eggs in that song either, right? There's no hidden meanings to it. It's just pretty straightforward.
Well, I mean, and the thing is that song can speak to loss that anyone's experienced. It's not just that event itself, because that Tuesday can come for the guy that drops dead of a heart attack,
And for any reason.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And people get lost all the time to us from different tragic events, stuff that they have no control over, we have no control over, and it's that Tuesday.
It is that, yeah. Absolutely.
You're going to work on Tuesday morning, reading the newspaper, not realizing that's the last time you're ever going to read a paper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or you lose someone, and every day after that's upside down.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, worlds change for people, and I've had family members who have lost young people, and loss is a big thing that we have to try and replace with other things in our lives to make sense of the loss.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like an innate need for us to make something that doesn't make any sense.
That song speaks volumes, and when I listen to it, I find the lyrics very comforting, and I find them very respectful in terms of remembering. It's important to remember as much as it is, anything else. Just to remember that, that I could have been in that building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think of the firefighters and the police and all the, emergency services that, we're just running into this building.
First responders.
We got to get people out, and they no regard for their life. Just I got to help somebody else. So.
And nobody knew that things were going to go south really quickly. Nobody had a clue.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. There were so many unknowns because it happened right out of the blue, and there was no opportunity to get eyes and ears on the ground to find out what was really going on.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was in emergency mode from the start, and nobody could investigate because there was no time to investigate.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for a lot of those guys, it's just instinctual, right? It's your first reaction is to you run in where everyone else is running out.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
I did a stint in mental health. I can tell you that that's not an easy, row to hoe. You walk into a room with a potentially very dangerous person that the cops have brought into you. They got tasers and guns, and you have nothing.
Just the gift of the gab.
Just the gift of the gab, being able to de-escalate the situation and try and figure out what's going wrong off the rails for people, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, great song. I love the way that the song is written. I like the way that it flows. I think there's a lot of technical stuff in there, Brad. To be completely honest with you, I am a firm believer that the drummers are integral to what we do in a band situation, and if the drummer and the bassist, and tonight you guys don't have your shit together. I mean, Ron's late.
Hey, I counted him in. He wasn't here. So.
Is he always late on the upbeat or the downbeat?
No, he's usually right there. He's usually right there.
You guys serve up a great rhythm section together.
Yeah, thanks. I think so too.
They do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ron's
there were a
good player.
couple. There were a couple times when you guys played that live show at 5440 where, I could just hear the groove that the two of you guys were laying down for the rest of the band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
they make it easy.
Yeah.
What a
We
what
do
a
that.
great
We do that all the time, right, Ron?
what a great
Oh, yeah, yeah.
foundation. I mean, how this no you again coming back to you guys. You guys are all somewhat estranged from each other before you got together as a band, right?
Yeah,
well,
I knew.
Yeah.
Here, go ahead, Brad.
Steve. I was just gonna say, Steve had auditioned for us when we were a cover band to be our second guitarist, and then joined us, got the gig, and came in and was part of the band. Andrew was in that band. I think was that first, or was he before you, Steve? Or
Yeah, just before me, I think. Yeah.
But then he quit because he didn't get along with the other guitarists. So then Steve came in and said, "Hey, I'll go for it." And then Ron, we've been together with Ron for
2018.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah. So
And
then
Ron-
that was because we had made a bass player change, and not for any personal reasons. Actually, he was a really good friend of mine and Steve's that we had a conversation with. We wanted to play more gigs, and our bass player at that time didn't want to.
Right.
So
What?
we basically
So I
said yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. I really feel a groove going on between you and Ron.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, for
And
sure.
and you're not even, necessarily looking at each other. You're just feeling each other
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
when you're laying down that lovely groove.
I think I've always felt like Ron and I have been locked in, with the whole band. To be honest with you, like
Yeah,
when we're firing on all cylinders, it's like it's like you can't stop us. It's a
Well, you
freight
were
train.
at that.
That's
You
what it
were at
feels
that.
like.
You were at the 5440 show. I quite enjoyed your set. I thought it was
thank you.
well. I thought it was well done.
That was fun.
I thought it was a fun set. It was energetic enough. And the cool thing about it is that I did not see the crowd switch between when you guys took the stage and when 5440 came on. I didn't really see the place fill up much.
It was pretty full when we got out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I-
pretty.
yeah.
It was pretty packed. What's the capacity there? Do you know?
1,600. Yeah, and we sold out.
Yeah, it was a capacity crowd, and you had 1,600 people there, and I think maybe I might have saw an inflow, right? But also people go outside to smoke too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So you lose a percentage of the crowd that's gone out for the smoke, so you just don't really know how that is going to spin.
I was kind of surprised. I expected a few hundred at the start, and then, by the time we finish up, it would start to fill up for 5440. But yeah, we rolled out and it was full already. Like that.
Yeah,
The funny thing is,
the floor was so full I could not get across to center stage to get some nice close-ups of you guys.
Yeah.
So when I shot those videos, I had to shoot them. I always get this mixed up. Stage left is where? Who's standing on stage left?
Andrew usually.
Andrew.
Yeah, so Andrew's on stage left. I'm over near Andrew. That's why I got all those great shots of Andrew because he's like almost right in front of me.
The Enigma.
Those are good ones to take anyway of Andrew.
Yeah.
He's,
And
he's
there's a
animated.
few times where I'm able to catch Brad on the drums, but you're back in there and it's a little bit darker where your drums are sitting.
Yeah.
And every once in a while Steve would step back or forward, and then I get a really, really great clear shot of you as well. So it was kind of fun taking shots of you guys while they're out there. And that's why I did some of those reels, because I thought it's a great way to promote you guys.
Oh yeah. Keep
No,
reliving that day. We can do that all the time.
We got people in the chat room. Judy Tompkins gives us 4 stars. Look at that.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Thanks, Judy.
And Steve Hillier says, I'm still impressed.
Steve's a hell of a guy.
Further to that, he says, wow, these mushrooms are kicking in with all these
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh my God, that's funny. Red D Films This is Brent Durner from Red D Films of My Wicked Twin, formerly of Helix, says, "Hey guys,"
Hey,
How's it going?
and then Ron Van Boheemen says, "LOL, I am here."
I was watching for a bit.
I had to put that one on. All right, so we're gonna flip
Ron
things
is in the
around
house.
here. We're gonna really mess Hillier up. We're gonna put you guys up top now on the screen.
Ooh, hey.
We're gonna get down, and you can look down upon us now. We're 30 minutes in. I mean, that's impressive to me because there's just so much to talk about what you guys are doing. And before we started the show tonight, we were talking about how royalties rights and stuff like that, how royalties rights and how important they are, and the issues that plague John Fogerty because he never had full rights to all of his music. And then that led to a conversation. How old is John Fogerty? He's 79 years old. Anyway, there's a guy I definitely got to get on the show. I've read his book. And I love it.
I got to see.
Some people say, "Oh, he's just whining in the book." No, he's not. He's talking about his experience and how he got screwed over by a record label because he was a young, naive musician who all he wanted to do was make music.
Yeah.
And just crank out hit after hit after hit.
And he never expected to get screwed over by his bandmates.
Yeah.
Right? And they screwed him over. So much so that when they got let out of their contract with the record company, they held him to his contract to write more albums.
The golden goose.
And I remember when when the infighting was going on in the band, when they wanted John to not write all the music anymore. They all wanted to write music for an album.
That's a great idea. Yeah, let's keep Fogerty on the sidelines.
Yeah. Okay. So are you going to write 14 gold hits in a year in a 2-year span? I don't think so.
Wow. Yeah.
Everything John Fogerty wrote turned to gold.
Yeah.
And platinum. And they knew who the Rainmaker was in that band.
Yeah, I would think so.
Right? But the thing was, they had a sound. And if you went to Fogerty's later shows, he never quite was able to capture that sound again.
Really?
Yeah. And I think I've seen enough Fogerty shows to say it's good. It's great because it shows him what a great talented musician he is. But there's a dynamic that comes with every lineup in every band.
Sure, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And when he had those guys in the band with him, and they played live, they were a great performing live. Who performs at the Royal Albert Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, and that's the quality of music that this guy was able to produce. All his songs were hit songs.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be so lucky these days to write that one song that resonates so much with people that it just skyrockets. Now, it's a good song. It's sitting right now. How many streams do you think it's sitting at on Spotify right now?
12,000.
When was it released? Oh, it was released March 28th. Right?
Months.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? A couple of weeks?
A couple of weeks, yeah.
It'll be 2 weeks this Friday, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it will, yeah.
So how many streams do you think it's garnered?
I'm gonna guess and say 12,000.
You're close. Ron?
I'll say 11,000. 13,000.
Brad?
13.5.
Right now it's sitting at 10,719.
Okay.
Yeah, getting there, right on.
Yeah.
And I mean, the cool thing about all this, and I'm gonna go and grab some stuff here right now. I'm just gonna switch over screens here, and I'm gonna go and grab. I want to go to Spotify. I'm gonna go to Spotify for artists. Oh, that's weird. Anyway, we'll try. I'll try later. I can't get there right now for whatever reason. It's not letting me into Spotify for artists.
I'm in it.
Hey,
Are you in it?
Yeah.
Because
does Apple have the same thing, Ken? Do they have like?
Yes, they have
a thing
Apple for artists as well.
Okay.
And it's all very different. It's asking me to continue with Google. All right. I gotta try and get into my Spotify. I can't. It's locked me out of my Spotify account, so I can't get. I can't get in there. What about you, Steve? You in, buddy?
Yep. What do you need?
I just want to know if you. I want to take a look at your number of countries you're getting played in.
So.
That's a good exercise.
Yeah, and I usually do it on the phone. I don't usually do it here.
Oh, okay. So that's a little bit different for you.
Yeah, I gotta. Anyway, you talk amongst yourselves.
Well, so what I want to tell people is that we had an offline conversation a little while back talking about this release.
Yeah.
And we're talking about all the different countries that your music's being listened to in now. That wasn't.
I checked it yesterday on the phone, Ken. It was about 15 countries around there. Just for Ashes.
Yeah, and that actually changes. It actually changes. Oh my God, they're sending me a code now. God's sakes, what the hell is with this? I mean,
don't you love technology?
Ken, click all images with a bridge.
It's ludicrous. It's just so ludicrous. We want you to here's your code. Put your code in here. Put your code in there. And will it let me paste it? Oh my God, it let me paste it. I'm in. Okay, so this is easier now. So I'm going to go flipping over here because I'm in and out of here all the time. This is stuff that's really, really important to me. And I find information in here that is really telling and really helps me better help you guys to achieve, some of the goals that we've talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I take a look at this, it only gives you a 28-day snapshot when you're taking a look back at certain demographics and looking at your audience, right? And when you drill down the location, it only gives you the last 28 days, right? So right now you're being heard in 26 different countries.
Right on.
No.
Right now, the cool thing about that is that you got almost an even split between Canada and the United States.
Oh, we're still different countries? Okay. Too soon for that joke?
I don't even want to go there. But what I want to say about that is that, it's an interesting statistic. Do you not think that you're an even split? It means that you've got a good audience down there. And you know what? The shit that's going on has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with my brothers and sisters over there.
Right.
This is all the same shit. The reason John Fogerty never wanted his music associated with war is the same shit that's going on here, right? There's people making decisions that none of us would ever agree with.
Way above my pay grade.
Yeah.
If we were the kings of the world, we would not, Jeremiah was a bullfrog. There you go.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't Jeremiah want to be king?
I
think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never understood a single word he said.
But I helped him drink his wine.
Oh, God.
Well, of course. Or his mushrooms.
Joy to the world, man. What a great song, man.
It is a really good
love
song.
Free Dog Night. Yeah.
I mean, what a great song. I think one of the greatest anthems ever written.
That is a great drunken karaoke song.
Yeah, it's a great. I don't give a fuck song, but it's just a well written song. That's just like, we're always too serious. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's not, take ourselves too seriously. And I think that song pokes fun at that.
But my first memory of that is my grandpa singing that as he drove me around Toronto. And I was like 5. I thought it was just about a frog. I didn't know. Sounded good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never understood a single word he said, but I helped him drink his wine. Oh man,
That's
singing
funny.
joy to the world.
Yeah.
You know, who would ever thought just lyrics like that would bring great joy to people? I mean, when that song comes on, it's kind of like listening to some Steppenwolf songs when they come on the radio, right? When you hear it, it's just so trademark when it starts. You just know who the artist is, right?
Right. And a lot of times it takes you right, right back to where you first heard it or where you remember it from.
Yeah,
That's what it does for me a lot of times.
True that.
Yeah.
True that. I mean, it's the songwriting behind this. You guys are all interpreting this. So Steve is bringing you guys, a song, and he's experiencing it from first person. We already talked about this with Brad, but Ron, when you're interpreting the song, how are you feeling that song, Ashes Over New York? How did it affect you as you built your part for it?
A lot of the times I just try to serve the song, you know what I mean? Just try to play what the song would need. But it's like for a song like that, it's a simple song, right? And like, I mean, yeah, whenever we play it, I always think about like where I first heard what was going on, right? I was working that day and one of the engineers came down to the machine I was working in a factory, and he was like, a plane just hit the World Trade Center. And we were like, that's weird. He walked away, comes back like a little bit later, he goes, another one just hit. We're like, that's really messed up. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it always brings me back to those memories, and then how you felt those following days. And like you said, I heard you say it before I came into the show, all the information, the way it was being pushed online so fast and stuff, and the way the world was changing so quickly, and the way that information was being manipulated and twisted around, right, to try and for different viewpoints and stuff, the way it's still being done today, right? But
it was a first, it was one of the first major events that, it's funny. It was funny because, when all that monkey business was going on behind the scenes before all of that, that never got the airplay as much as the tragic event itself.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, nobody really knew some of the monkey business that was going on behind all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right, until the event happens, and then next thing, the event is it's just catapulting everybody's attention because as a first responder, you don't have time to plan. You're going in and you're on survival mode.
Just reaction.
You're not only, and as a first responder, having been a first responder, you're not thinking, you're thinking my safety, their safety. You're trying to maintain that zone of safety for yourself and the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're running into.
Yeah. But it's like, as the song says, it's just like a day like any other and stuff. You know what I mean? Like it isn't any other day until something crazy happens. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, and like I said, that day can be a tragic passing of a loved one.
Yeah.
It can just be that singular event, because that has a huge ripple effect on everybody that's connected to that individual person.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And the ground effects from something like that are to me is just as traumatic as experiencing a visceral event like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's even more traumatic because it's a very personal experience, right?
Yeah,
You're experiencing it. Go ahead.
It's like my mom told me, I obviously wasn't born when JFK was assassinated, right? But she said it's like that's like one of those events where you always remember where you were, like Steve was saying earlier, right? Something big like that happens and it's like etched in your memory and you always remember. And when people talk about it, it brings you back to that memory,
I remember seeing, the images of JFK's assassination on television when I was just a toddler. I still have memories of that. playing in black and white on our living room television.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm like maybe 3 years old. But I remember seeing that on TV. I remember seeing that event on TV and the shock and horror of everybody, over that event.
Yeah, it was devastating.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there were
Events
so
that
many.
changed the world, right? Events where
It-
the world is never the same after.
Well, it had a huge effect on everybody, and nobody knew. There were all kinds of speculations of why that event happened,
Yeah,
right?
they still don't know.
They still don't know. I mean, supposedly they're supposed to be looking at redacting those records because I think anybody that could potentially be guilty has to be dead before they can release those records.
I would. That's got to be the case. I mean, that was 60 something years ago.
Yep.
62
Was it?
years ago?
Um,
It was 62. It would,
Yeah,
right?
62.
Was
yeah.
it 60? It was 62, wasn't it?
63 years ago. Wow, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a a significant event, right? Died in Dallas, November 22nd, 1963.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was 4 years old when that happened. And I remember standing in front of my parents' black and white television and watching Walter Cronkite bring the news that the American president is dead.
Jeez.
I saw Cronkite deliver that news, man. He was like shaking.
I bet.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if somebody can get that close to assassinate the most protected man in the world,
Yeah. Well, what does that say about any of us, right?
what's that say about anybody's personal safety,
Yeah.
right? And what a traumatic event, and it set forth things and ingrained that. I remember watching Kennedy's funeral, actually televised on TV. We were watching it on TV, and when John Jr. salutes,
Yeah.
right? That's like, holy crap.
Kind of hits home, eh?
That's it's mind bending because he was about my age. Maybe he was 4 or 5. Kennedys were about the same age as my parents, and my dad thought JFK was the shit, man.
Yeah.
He just said he seems to be a young man who's got it together.
And I think that's what a lot of people saw him. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he was a strong leader. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that's come out since about his personal life and all that other stuff. And there's so many theories around that whole event and that time in our existence. And there's still all these theories about what happened. And I don't think I my guess is we may never know.
You know what? You may not want to know. The truth can be ugly, right? It's better we don't know.
Yeah, but if they wait long enough to let it out, then all the people that it would be relevant to, it wouldn't be relevant to anybody.
Well, all the people, but not all the departments they might belong to.
Right? I mean, you think about it. If something like the event where we were talking about previously was the same thing, we would never know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
a wild world.
Well, the cool thing about that song is, to me, is not just as the song of lament, but I think it offers some hope, and it offers some comfort, though, to people recognizing that many people suffered as a result of that event.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, and like I was saying to Ron, social media and all the other stuff that's going on when all this stuff happens, it feeds the frenzy that much faster because it gets out that much quicker.
Yeah. As it happens, yeah.
I mean, I didn't know anything about, any kind of news on the other side of the world, much less what was going on in the U.S., unless the news brought it to us.
And yeah, and back in the day, it was at
right?
6
No
o'clock.
internet, no internet, no, you know,
No,
no
no.
Google, no,
Now you
no,
can read pretty much any newspaper you want anywhere in the world.
yeah, and even the newspaper articles were, you know, old news. They were sometimes a day or two old by the time they hit print.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was living in an analog world, and then we've gone from that analog world into this this digital age where everything is instantaneous.
Everything's instant. Nothing's fact checked.
Well,
Yeah.
and the thing is,
Yeah.
we're doing things differently now because of that, right? I mean, you know, when I was a kid, if you fucked up, you know, it took days for somebody to know about it. If you do it now, everybody knows about it, and they
Yeah,
know about
yeah.
it like immediately.
Yeah.
And it's and I'm looking at what's happening in our technological age, and we're just being bombarded.
Yeah. It's
With it.
relentless.
The information coming at us is like relentless, isn't it?
It is.
Even music wise, I mean, you know, we've talked about this a few times, and you know, some of the changes that have happened on services like Spotify, and you know, them changing processes, things about fraudulent streams and all that stuff. Well, it was happening. It was a real thing. Okay, and people were hiring bot farms to stream their music because there were no gatekeepers. Right? So people were hiring bot farms. And now, have you ever seen a bot farm?
No.
No.
Go on YouTube and search bot farm, and then take a look at all the different examples that you'll see. It's incredible. I'll give you one that I saw. I'm not going to say what country the guy was from, but he's now obviously not North American or South American. And he's plugged in. Right?
Start.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so he has on the wall 100 cell phones, all with an individual IP address, and he hits a button and has 100 streams. Hits the button and it just keeps repeating streams, 100 streams every 3 minutes for the song.
You need the bird from The Simpsons to just do that for you.
So that song, just with that one guy's small bot farm of 100 units, right? That artist is getting, if the song is 3 minutes and 20 seconds long, every 3 minutes and 20 seconds from that bot farm, from all different IP addresses, they're picking up 100 streams every 3 or so minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So think about that over an hour. Think about that over 24 hours and days. It doesn't take long for it to get up to hundreds of thousands of streams.
Yeah.
And that's just one example they give on there. You got to see it. So there's cyber pirates out there. It's just like when you go down to the Caribbean, right? You better be careful when you're out on a yacht because there's pirates down there,
Hey.
right? And so there's what I call cyber pirates. They're out there all the time trying to screw us over, you know. And you got to watch for them. And there's people out there that are charlatans that will do this stuff. And so anyways, Spotify catches on to this behavior. They go, we got to do something to stop this. So we got to build something into our algorithm, because if we don't do something around this security and it affects our shareholders' confidence in us, our stock is going to plummet.
Right.
Right? So Spotify, when they started 2018, when Spotify goes on the market for market share, right? It's selling for about $165 a share. That's the opening on it, right? So you could buy into Spotify back in 2018 for $165 a share. I think the other day I looked at it selling for $478 a share.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So if you invested in Spotify, your investment tripled from 2018 to 2024. Wow. In 6 years, you tripled your investment. Could you imagine that? Who does that in 6 years?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And the reason that Spotify tries to get market share and stockholder confidence, because the money that comes from there gives them money for capital projects like continuing to maintain the largest streaming platform in the fucking world. Their catalog is massive.
It's by far the biggest. Yeah.
It's the biggest catalog ever. And they negotiated with the major 3 record labels to make sure that happened.
They did something right.
You know, and the thing is at least they brought streaming a different route. Last year they paid out $10 billion in royalties.
Really?
10 billion.
No.
Not to us.
Well, not to you guys, but the thing is that, as you know, we're seeing things climb for you guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And looking at your, even just looking at your audience, okay? So we'll look over the last 7 days. Just in the last 7 days, you had 88 continuous listeners.
Right
Over the
on.
last 28 days, you had 221 consistent listeners, and over the course of the year, you had 1,683 consistent listeners, for a grand total of 200,570 streams.
Awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
So you guys
Wow.
have hit almost 250,000 on your catalog. And
Wow,
what I'm
that's nice.
seeing happen, and I don't know if you guys are watching this. I watch this every day with delight, because it's all happened as a result of the plan that we've crafted together. Right? It's working. And what I'm seeing happening here is exciting me every day that I look at it, because now I'm seeing people picking up the Brother Leeds previous catalog,
The old stuff.
the old
Yeah.
stuff.
The
The stuff
classics.
the stuff that everybody would say, well, that's stale, that's old news.
Yeah.
And
Well, if they don't know about it, it'll be
Yeah.
new music.
Yeah.
It's like
But-
Talise
if they
is
don't
new to-
know.
But,
Talise is new to
but
them.
I'm looking at this now. Here's a perfect example. Nosebleed. Okay. Prior to coming on board with me, that song had 0. Well, wasn't charting, wasn't getting
Well, my
to
mom
1,000.
listened to it twice, so we had at least 2 streams.
It wasn't getting to
Yeah.
1,000. It now sits at 35,361 streams.
Wow.
Now another
Wow.
song called Midnight Train.
Mm.
Now you might want to think about these for set lists, right?
Oh yeah.
This one ends at
No,
most
they're
every
on
set.
set list.
Okay.
They're on
Midnight
set list.
Train. How many how many streams do you think Midnight Train has?
12,000?
I'm going to say 14,000.
15.
30,519.
Wow.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
And every single track on that album is now over 2,000 streams.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
I'll see if I can find next best really quick here. Just looking at it really quick. So the next best is Cold Dead Hands. And again, it's had almost a 400% increase in volume.
Nice.
Right.
Almost all of your
That's
all
nice.
of your old catalog has got about a 400% increase. I can't wait to see your Spotify. Well, I can, because I don't want summer to go by really fast.
Yeah. No,
But
no. Yeah.
I will be excited to see your Spotify numbers at the end of 2025.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to be really pleasantly surprised. I think we're going to see some really, really interesting statistics for you guys in terms of,
Oh, I'm already pleasantly surprised.
what's next in terms of, planning. Your songs got saved over. So this is a 12-month period. This runs April 9th of last year to yesterday. Okay.
Okay.
You had 377 saves. Your music was saved 377 times, and it was added 1,824 times to playlists.
Oh, that's good.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
nice.
So the cool thing about that is that you guys are going to enjoy this other wave that occurs on Spotify. Okay. So when you look at Spotify for artists, and this is why their stats are so good, because they crunch numbers for you. They give you some really good insights into what's happening with an artist's music. And then it really allows you to go, yeah, we're on the path. Don't need to do anything else. Oh, let's tweak this. Oh, let's tweak that. Right. Because my goal is to try and steer us as a ship in the right direction and towards the direction of success. And that level of success for me, at least my goal was, and I believe yours were when we spoke about getting together, is we just want to get our music out in front of as many people as we can.
That's basically it. Yeah.
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 And mission accomplished.
It's working.
Yeah.
You know, mission accomplished. We you guys have reached a milestone. You are just, you guys are just, well, let's take a look here. You're sitting about 50,000 shy, less than 50,000 streams shy of hitting 250,000 streams.
All right, let's do it.
That's
And that's impressive considering, when we first came together, you guys just weren't getting that level of traction.
They were in the dozens.
Yeah.
He says that with such a straight face, and we're nearing the first period.
We were happy when they were happy when they were in the dozens. That was like, all right, we're done.
We're nearing the ending of the first period of overtime here. I have some friends of mine. They wrote a song back in the day. It's all about Canadian hockey. It's called "Blood on the Ice."
It's a good title.
Yeah, it's a great freaking tune, man. It's one of those grunge tunes.
Yep.
And a buddy of mine was in that band. They were called the Outpatients. And they did it. And they did a CD. I've got their CD around here somewhere. They wrote really unique and offbeat tunes. But I remember this song, "Blood on the Ice," and the lyrics. If you listen to the lyrics and you listen to the song, it's all about fighting in hockey. Like all the different ways you end up in a fist fight in hockey.
There's a band called Fight for Fighting as well.
So if you ever run across a copy of it, Brad, they're called the Outpatients.
Okay.
Scott Kerr was a keyboardist in the band.
I know Scott.
Do you know Scott?
Well, I don't know him very well. It's been a long time, but I've jammed with him at open jams in the past.
If you're ever talking to him, he probably has a copy of the CD. I got one floating around here somewhere. I got to dig it up. Now that I got my burner hooked up, I was gonna burn it and put it on my drive.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's great stuff. The guitar player in the band was in a cover band with me for years. And we had a really popular cover band, so popular that we played campgrounds and all kinds of stuff. We got the really fun gigs, playing on beaches down in Port Stanley and getting invited to play at private parties. That was just the best because they treated us like royalty, man. They fed us like kings and, looked after. If you wanted to get drunk and get shit-faced, you could crash there for the night.
Yeah.
So anyway, talking about what you guys do and have been doing, there's a level of success and you're 50,000 streams shy of getting that 250. I think it's going to happen. I think it's probably going to hit there by the time the Ugly Carnival is released.
Yeah.
I think
That's
so
what,
too.
like
that's coming up. That's coming up. I got to get my ass in gear. It's the only track that I haven't uploaded yet. and it's simply because, well, you guys know I've been really extremely busy. We've had a lot of spring releases, and I'm trying to get everybody to release around my schedule because when I go on this motorcycle trip,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
right.
I want to make sure that I'm not trying to publish music while I'm on the road. That's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So, anywho, we've got some great artists that have joined the label, and I'm really encouraging people to cross pollinate. There's other artists on the label that are doing exactly the same thing you're doing. They're looking at playing gigs. We just have a new artist that's coming on board. They're called the Rose City Rockers. They're from Windsor, Ontario.
Right on.
All original music. They've got a great tune out. And Jimmy sent it to me, and he said, "Oh, you got to listen to this." So Rose City Rockers, and the title escapes me. He sent it to me the other night. I'm going to see if I can find it on YouTube before we go, because I want to leave it as a recommendation. Listen to you guys.
Going down to Memphis?
Yeah, going down to Memphis. That's it.
There you go.
So these guys are seasoned musicians that come out of that whole blues, Amherstburg, the Rib Fest and all that stuff down there, where they had blues down at the riverfront down and these guys are a rockin'. I call them a rock and blues band because I've only heard the one cut so far. Jimmy assures me that every cut off that album is going to be very, very different. So that's the cool thing about that. That came as a recommendation by way of Don Coulter, who's with Creatures of Condition. He's a drummer, and he lives in Simcoe, Ontario.
Okay.
And Don brought me that project. He had tracks that were 25 years old that had never been released.
Wow.
No.
Did they used to be called the Rose City Band?
No, they were called the Creatures of Habit. And
because there's a band from Windsor years ago called the Rose City Band.
Yeah.
I had a couple of their albums here in the shop for sale.
Yeah, there's Dave Whitehead was their guitar player. Dave was a staple back in the day in London at Call the Office. He played there all the time, and Dave played in a ton of bands. And Dave Whitehead was their guitar player in the band. They had two guitar players in the band, and they were called Creatures of Habit. And the band that owned the trademark for Creatures of Habit got in contact with them and said, "You got to change your name. We own the trademark." So they had to change it. Had to change the name to Creatures of Condition. And they had to do like a name search to make sure that they weren't infringing on somebody else's rights and somebody else was going to come along and bump them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But interesting story. I'll close with this one tonight. Here's a cool one for you. So you guys know Doug Vardy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Doug's a staple in the London music scene. Doug's going to be releasing music on the label.
Right on.
And
Nice.
the cool thing about Doug is that he gave me the name for a cover band that we used to have back in the 90s called Tripwire. He gave me that name. And we used to play downtown London on a regular basis. And we would come into town every 6 weeks. Boom, boom, boom. Right as we played at GT's downtown every 6 weeks to a packed house, right? And they loved us there. So much so that we were able to continue to negotiate our salary.
It's always good.
Well, when we
nice.
went there and we were hired, he said, "I don't care if you bring people in, they're already here. We want you to keep them here."
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So we played everything that was on FM 96.
Was that right? Yeah.
It was a done deal because that's all those kids were listening to back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So you picked anything off the top 40 on FM 96 and you were golden. There you go.
Yep.
Anyways, that long story short, the band was called Tripwire, and we used to leave stickers on all the walls and the ceilings, on the fucking urinals. Anywhere you could stick a sticker in the bar, we left the stickers for the band.
I do the same thing.
Yeah,
All the venues.
yeah,
we
it was
play
a
at.
fun. It was a fun thing to do, man. I loved having you guys on the show tonight. Got to do this again.
Yeah. Love to.
Yeah.
Brother Leeds, three quarters of Brother Leeds. Andrew couldn't make it tonight,
Right.
understandably so. I know he's got some family concerns, so that's all good.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me
Yeah.
tonight, guys. It's been a great show. I think it's been informative for the people who have been watching. I certainly enjoyed myself. I hope you did. And Steve Sinclair, Brad Coward, Ron Van Boheemen from London, Ontario, and Mount Bridges. Put a plug in for your
Yeah,
put a plug
good
in
old
for the
Mount
records.
Bridges.
Put a plug in
yeah.
for the record store, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
Rockbox.
Rockbox Records.
Rockbox Records.
Come see
Go
us.
get your records at Rockbox. It's been a pleasure having you dudes. Have a great end of your week, everybody. Remember, this is the Indie Show. I'm Kenny. You are not. Have a great end of your week, everybody. We'll see you next week. Oh, and next week, Rick Emmett is on the show.
All right.
Cool.
So you're not gonna want to miss that one, guys.
Right
We're
on.
gonna talk about his new book, 10 Telecaster Tales.